December 31st, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and it's time once again for your Daily Torment Report. And this is the last day of 2025. Happy New Year's Eve. Next time we see each other, it's going to be an entirely new year, 2026. Make sure that your celebrations get you home no later than like 10 o'clock. You don't want to be on the road after midnight tonight, that's for sure. Well, let's get into our Daily Torment Report. We've got a lot to cover. Not so much with Trump. Elon posted a lot again today, as is his matter. But I got a couple of videos that I want to also go over. We got a new update on Tim Walz being connected to or being investigated. We've got, what is this other one? This is a solar storm that's going to hit Earth tonight. Pretty big one, too, from what I understand. And then an update about Apophis from Ray's Astrophotography, the gentleman who's been putting out a lot of videos on 3i Atlas. He's got a really good illustration that illustrates how close Apophis comes to Earth. And we'll line that up with where we are in the timeline. It looks like we've got the timeline right, and it looks like Apophis is very likely Wormwood. All right, let's get into talking about Donald Trump. So, first thing we've seen, so this is the first posts since what we covered yesterday. Over 50% of voters approve of President Trump. Do you still approve? I know I do. He says the polls are rigged, even more than the writers. The real number is 64%. And why not? Our country is hotter than ever before. Isn't it nice to have a strong border, no inflation, a powerful military, and great economy? Happy New Year. Then we got a report here from Paul Perez.
Border Patrol Council President Paul Perez joins us now. Paul, happy New Year's Eve. Strong words coming from Karen Bass. Your reaction?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Griff, and Happy New Year's. So look, we put out a statement because Karen Bass, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I've been doing this job almost 29 years, and we've got a great Border Patrol, whether the majority are Hispanic, white, black, Asian, it doesn't matter. We're all Border Patrol agents. We all want to do the job. And what she should concentrate on, what is sad, is her having a sanctuary city and not allowing the LAPD to assist Border Patrol or ICE. There are so many criminals in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's so fun. I find it mind-boggling that you would criticize Hispanic Border Patrol rather than acknowledging the message that sends. The fact that those who come over here legally want to actually protect what they've gained. I love this.
Los Angeles, that we could be going after criminal cartel members, gang members, criminal aliens that are just there because of the sanctuary cities that are put in place by people like Karen Bass. So that's what's sad. That's what she needs to worry about.
Paul, it seems to me that what she should be saying is thank you to Border Patrol for removing drug traffickers, rapists, murderers, and violent illegal alien criminals. And yet here she is blasting Hispanics. Talk to me about specifically, because I've spent a lot of time with some amazing Hispanic Border Patrol agents on the border trying to secure it. Talk to me about the pride they feel in the job they do.
Well, you know, it's something like what Karen Bass said. It really upsets us because, again, a lot of our Border Patrol agents, like you said, are Hispanic. A lot of them are from the southwest border. The areas they patrol are the areas that they grew up in. And so they're proud to do the job. They're happy about being able to secure this country. And they have a higher calling, which is protecting America. They know that when they signed up to do this job, they knew exactly what it was going to entail. And they've never stopped protecting this border, and they won't stop just because of people like Karen Bass saying stupid things. They're going to continue.
And you talk about that calling, Paul, the applications up 70%. People are continuing to want to come. But I want to talk for a moment about, and you see the applications there. I want to talk about the unbelievable closing of the border, the job that the men and women in green have been able to do along the 2,000-mile long border from Texas to California. Just blows my mind when I think about what it was a year ago when I spent last December in Eagle Pass, Texas, and in other areas with thousands coming across every day. Now 0 and 7 straight months of no releases into the country. How are you able to do it?
Griff, yeah, you're one of the few that spent a lot of time on the border and can see exactly what is happening now versus what happened then. And, serving under 5 presidents, I can tell you this. President Trump did more in 2 weeks, from day 1 to 2 weeks. Within that time period, he did more for this country by securing the border than the other presidents that I've served under, 5 total, did in their entire 4 or 8-year term. And so we have completely closed down the border. There are no gotaways. There's nobody coming across. We are going after every single person in this country that made it across under Joe Biden's tenure. Wow. Because of the fact that we've been able to secure the border like no other president has ever allowed us to secure it before.
In that video our viewers are seeing there, the Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks put a 1 year ago picture to what it is now. And you see all that trash littering the banks of Brownsville, Texas. Heck, Paul, I may have actually shot some of this border video and put it on there. It was unbelievable. At the end of the day, though, with 93% year over year border crossings down, there's still a bit more work to do. What say you?
Yeah, look, for the first time in the nation's history, we are going to gain what is called operational control. We've got another 3 years under President Trump after this first year. We're going to get it done because he's given us the support. Like Chief Banks said, we've got great support from Chief Banks, from Secretary Noem, from Tom Homan, from the administration itself. So we're going to be able to do what no other president has ever done. I mean, it's hard to top what President Trump has done in only 1 year. And we're going to be able to do that. It's going to be a really, really good time for the United States because we're going to be able to secure the border.
My hat's off to you, Paul, and the gratitude of the nation. Thanks you and the men and women in green. Have a happy new year.
That is hilarious. 50% Hispanic. All right. California and Colorado are 2 of the top outbound states in 2025. United van lines, in other words, people leaving. That's what bad governors do to even places blessed with beautiful surrounds and climate. President DJT. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I continue to read about the way California is suffering because of its leadership, to where now they're going after the wealthy who are there. You're just going to push everybody out of that state, trying to, you've got so much fraud, and you have such extreme laws that nobody wants to live under that. It'd be like voluntarily living in slavery. Pretty soon you want to turn California, and states like California want to turn their residents into their slaves. This is how it starts. You have an increasingly debt that you can never pay in order to support bad leaders. There you go. Versus a good leader, which is in direct opposition, a good leader like President Trump, who's able to bring money in and actually pay the people who are working for them. Kind of it's a dynamic motivation, right? When the incentives are there, that's where people are going to go. They're going to go where the incentives are. President Trump 10 hours ago posted Tim Walz of Minnesota is a crooked governor. Yeah, and on that note, BP Earthwatch posted this 1-minute video today worth watching.
Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams. Alex oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
Yep.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants. Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken 3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF childcare payments across America. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment. Second, I have just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers.
So that defend the spend is a Elon Musk tactic that they implemented with Doge. If you didn't catch on to that, Elon has made the statement that even the bare minimum of evidence or proof for why you need the money or why the money should come to you would stop a lot of fraud. So the mere fact that they're requiring receipts and photos should do a lot to weed out the fraudsters.
This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars. Minnesota is no exception.
We're committed to holding bad actors accountable. Regardless of rank or office, anyone who's involved in perpetrating this fraud against the American people should expect to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
It might be time for me to go look for some childcare. My kid's too old for childcare. Well, good things. But yeah, Tim Walz of Minnesota is a crooked governor, and his corruption is being exposed, and his voter base is going to be exposed too. All right, there is more fraud in California than there is in Minnesota, if that is even possible. When you add in election fraud, then they are tied for first. 2 crooked governors, 2 crooked states. Interesting. So is that where Nick Shirley's going to go next to expose the fraud there? All right. Posted 8 hours ago from Donald Trump. Much of Minnesota fraud, up 90%, is caused by people that came into our country illegally from Somalia. Congresswoman Omar, an ungrateful loser who only complains and never contributes, is one of the many scammers. Did she really marry her brother? Lowlifes like this can only be a liability to our country's greatness. Send them back from where they came, Somalia, perhaps the worst and most corrupt country on earth. Make America great again. Yeah, at this point, I tend to agree. Send them back. I mean, the fact that she went from, a small amount of income in Congress, what is it, $84,000 to $184,000 a year to, $25 million or whatever it was. Don't quote me on those numbers, but you get the span. She suddenly became very wealthy, and there's, massive fraud discovered in her district. So, God bless. So from Trump 7 hours ago, God bless Tina Peters, who is now for 2 years out of 9 sitting in a Colorado maximum security prison at the age of 73 and sick for the crime of trying to stop massive voter fraud that goes on in her state, where, man, it almost seems like he needs to send in special forces to extract Tina Peters. Where people are leaving in record numbers. Hard to wish her a happy new year. But to the scumbag governor and the disgusting Republican rhino DA who did this to her, nothing happens to the Dems and their phony mail-in ballot system that makes it impossible for a Republican to win an otherwise very winnable state. I wish them only the worst. May they rot in hell. Free Tina Peters. That reminds me, Jesus warned about those who would be thrown into prison. And maybe somebody in the chat or somebody watching the video can answer this for me. He makes a statement that it'll only be for 10 days. A lot of these people, and this includes for those who were imprisoned in the locks of flood, nobody was in prison for 10 days. Is that just some kind of a saying, as though it means that it's not going to be forever? Is that 10 days significant of something? You know what I'm talking about when in Matthew 24, I think it is, where he says that some of you will be thrown into prison, but don't worry about what you're going to say, for God will put the words in your mouth. So things like that. I've often wondered about that. because we're going through this period of time. And how do you measure something like that on a planet with 9 billion people on it? You know what I mean? How do you measure those who fall under the don't worry about being thrown into prison, it'll only be a short period of time? I mean, like, you could limit it to the Jewish people and something like the Al-Aqsa flood, but even then, even those, many of them were captive for 2 years, which is a lot longer than 10 days, if you didn't know. Douglas Murray, Trump cleaned up crime in D.C. and taught everyone a lesson in public safety. An article about Putin attack bluster shows Russia is the one standing in the way of peace. What? Putin attack bluster shows Russia is the one standing in the way of peace. Oh, that's from the New York Post. Okay. Minnesota daycare scandal sparks concern over election policy that allows a voter to vouch for others. Made for fraud. These are just article headlines that Trump posted. Minnesota, Somali-run daycare bizarrely says all their important documents about childcare were stolen in a mystery break-in. I saw this today. This is so ridiculous that this seems like a setup. Like, oh no, we can't prove anything because all the records got stolen. Oh, darn. That's exactly. It's like, hide the evidence. Quick, fake a break-in. Just wait until somebody's ring cam comes out and it's like, one of these guys in the background. Or Tim Walz. I can see the memes now. I can see Tim Walz, the memes of Tim Walz breaking into the daycare, stealing all the records, getting away. They'll never catch me. All right, 4 hours ago from Donald Trump, the United States has set a world record on investments being made into a country. And it is trillions of dollars more than number 2, China. This is singularly because of tariffs and the fact that if you make your product in the U.S., there are no tariffs. Hence, factories and businesses are being built all over the country at a level never seen before. Congrats to the USA on this incredible achievement, President DJT. 4 hours ago from President Trump, Republicans, no more money to fat cat insurance companies. The money must go directly to the people to buy their own health care. Man, I hope there's no overlap on the transition to whatever he does, because I think it starts tomorrow. I don't know. That one does kind of worry me. 4 hours ago, Donald Trump posted the Democrats are a bunch of cheaters and thieves that never want to do what's good for America. That reminds me of the curse from Zechariah, thieves and perjurers. Is the curse directed towards the Democrats? As an example, they refuse to even consider voter identification. Why? Because they want to cheat. And the Republicans should not put up with this and many other such things any longer. It does actually seem like everything is exposing them. Like, it's almost as if their thieving and perjuring is being exposed, and those are being lumped together and identified. Everything that is happening is identifying the thieves and the perjurers. Dun, dun, dun. 3 hours ago, we are removing the National Guard. I read this today. This one's interesting. So 3 hours ago, Donald Trump posted, we are removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in those cities. And only by that fact, Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago were gone if it weren't for the federal government stepping in. We will come back, perhaps in a much different and stronger form when crime begins to soar again. Only a question of time. It is hard to believe that the Democrats, mayors, and governors, all of whom are greatly incompetent, would want us to leave, especially considering the great progress that has been made. President DJT. I'll add that the Guard never actually went to Portland due to judicial pushback and the idiots in Portland, and the problem is as bad or worse in Portland than it was. Now, I can't speak to the other areas, to Chicago and Los Angeles. I imagine that those probably were helped because, as I understand it, National Guard were allowed in those areas. But I still see SRT Supply posting his videos every day about the protests that continue to go on around the ICE facilities and the shenanigans. And the homelessness is still a massive problem. Kevin Dahlgren, is a good Twitter handle to follow if you want to see what's going on in Portland. So, they have a massive drug problem. They really need help there. And I wish the leadership in Portland would do more to help the obvious problem. Good news. George Clooney is no longer a U.S. citizen. You remember George Clooney, right? That show ER? I remember that. My girlfriend, when I was in high school, used to love watching ER because of George Clooney. So this was from Trump a couple hours ago. Good news. George and Amal Clooney, two of the worst political prognosticators of all time, have officially become citizens of France. That is a dumb move on their part. France does not have a Donald Trump working to protect its citizens. Okay, citizens of France, which is sadly in the midst of a major crime problem because of their absolutely horrendous handling of immigration, much like we had under Sleepy Joe Biden. Remember when Clooney, after the now infamous debate, dumped Joe during a fundraiser, only to go onto the side of another stellar candidate, Kamala, who is now fighting it out with the worst governor in the country, including Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, for who is going to lead the Democrats to their future defeat. Clooney got more publicity for politics than he did for his very few and totally mediocre movies. He wasn't a movie star at all. He was just an average guy who complained constantly about common sense in politics. I don't know. I think that's probably an overstatement, kind of putting him down just because, Clooney has made some stupid decisions. I kind of like Clooney in some of his movies. I wouldn't say totally mediocre. Of course, maybe I am a big fan of B movies, so I could be biased in this regard. I am loosely related to shoot his name complete Bruce Campbell. I don't know if you guys know, I'm 100% Scottish, and I come from the Campbell is in my blood, so it's Campbell and Rose are my two. It's Rose on my dad's side and Campbell on my mom's side, and we actually lived close to Bruce Campbell growing up. So my brother went to school with his kids. So there you go. But yeah, so if you know who Bruce Campbell is, he's like a total B actor. He's not like an A grade actor. He probably is like an A-lister actor now, but for a very long time he was a B-lister actor, and hence I actually really grew to love mediocre actors. So maybe that's why I'm biased about Clooney. I'm not ashamed. All right, well, that's all we have for Donald Trump. Let's move on to Elon Musk, because this one's going to probably take the most time, because the dude just posts a lot. All righty. Start off with a video.
Parts of USAID that were found to be even slightly useful were transferred to the State Department. So they've not been deleted, they've simply been transferred to the State Department. But many times over with USAID and other organizations, when they said, oh, well, this is going to help children, or it's going to help some disease eradication or something like that. And then when we ask for any evidence whatsoever, I say, well, please connect us with this group of children so we can talk to them and understand more about their issue. We get nothing. They don't even try to come up with a show orphan, meaning like this sort of like, well, can we at least see a few kids? Like, where are they? If they're in trouble, we'd like to talk to them and talk to their caregivers. Okay, and then we get nothing as a response, because it's what we find is an enormous amount of fraud and graft.
Okay, let me put this example to you.
Very little of it actually gets to the kids, if anything at all. The parts of USAID that were found.
He's such a good interview now. He's gotten so good at public speaking. All right, everyone assuming there was no fraud, none of this makes sense. How is it that we have been funding billions of dollars of daycares for Somali immigrants in Minnesota, 81% of which, according to Gemini, are on welfare. In other words, if mom and dad don't go to work, why the need for childcare? Perhaps you could say the welfare statistics include some subsidies for working parents, but still, in this case, the child care does not appear to be needed as the daycare centers are empty. And that's what Nick proved. He went to a handful of daycare centers during times when kids should have been in there, on days where kids should have been in there, and there were no kids. They couldn't show any kids. They wouldn't even give him an application to enroll his kid, without him like needing any kind of evidence of a daycare. He was asking in a lot of cases, hey, I'd like to enroll my son Joey here. Can I get some information or a business card or someone to call to talk about the daycare? Nope. Yeah, because it's a fraud, because it's not a real daycare. It's a sham. All right, so this is Send Tim Walz to Somalia Simulator. Elon reposted this 23 hours ago. I like how he just tries to slide in the phrase. Oh, go away, Grok. I like how he just tries to slide in the phrase white men commit the most crime like it's a given. Here's the homicide data. Here's the homicide data for the state of Minnesota and the total crime data for Hennepin County. Not only do white people not commit the most crime, they don't even commit most of the crimes. You have 5 times as many white people in Minnesota as black people. Somehow 169 black people committed almost twice the number of crimes that 857,000 white people did over the same time span. I get that it's tacky to bring up crime stats, but this is utter horseshit and an outright bold-faced lie. I'm not going to just sit here and accept him saying this and not push back. Yeah. All right. He posted a lot, so we're gonna skip a bunch of stuff here too. NGL money laundering. I guess we can handle. We'll see.
You said the other day you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent. Yes. What can you tell us about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi? Please.
This should be interesting.
Yes. So we've encountered. There's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first, because it's such a long list. You have to actually prioritize the list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The DOJ has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already? But as the saying goes, the wheels of justice turn slowly but surely. And I think probably the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week.
Wow.
And with respect to the non-governmental organizations, these sort of fake NGOs, I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats. I don't want to be clear. There's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there, because they sometimes throw the Republicans a bone to say, "Hey, be quiet about this." So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give give billions of dollars to NGOs run by Democrats that then go through a whole network of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think the word NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous.
NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous. There's a t-shirt for you. All right, posted December 30th. I went to 4 more Somali daycare locations today from Cam. This is from Cam Higby. 2 told me they weren't child cares, despite receiving hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars. 1, which claimed they weren't child care, received over 800,000 since 2023. It's all on camera. It will be uncovered. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Support the county you live in or live in the country you support. Exactly. All right. Don't need to see Tesla updates. Don't need to see that or Grok. More Tesla. James Wood. I love James Wood. It is this simple, folks. Stop all illegal immigration. Deport all illegal aliens here now. Enact voter ID laws. That will solve every problem America has. We will reduce taxes, stop crime, fraud, Democrat DEI scams, inflation, homelessness, and the housing crisis. Stop all illegal immigration, deport all, and I would say prosecute activist judges, like those judges who are responsible for not applying the law should also be subject to it. That would help. That'd help a lot. Let's see. So funds will be released only when states prove they are being spent legitimately. Elon responded, "This is the way," which is a quote from, have you guys seen The Mandalorian? Let's see. Let's pull up The Mandalorian. This is the way.
Will do well. Reserve some for the foundlings.
As it should always be. The foundlings are the future. This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
I'll also add that is probably, with Elon Musk as one of the two witnesses, I would not be surprised if there's not also an underlying joke there that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. This is the way. I giggle when I hear that because that's what I think of. Oh, hey, speak of the video, we already watched this. Two gentlemen who are doing their part in order to stop the illegal funds. So this was posted by J.D. Vance 21 hours ago, and Elon reposted it. Turning off payments and forcing verification before taxpayer money flows out the door is one of the most important steps we can take to end the fraud in Minnesota. But there will be many more to come. All right, Grandma was full self-driving. This is how I envision a lot of full self-driving really helping people.
Oh, I always press too hard.
And it's taking us now.
God,
it's a Cybertruck.
I never, ever thought I'd see this. You know, I am kind of glad
Living
that
in the
I lived
future.
as long as I have.
So,
I never would have known that.
If you haven't taken a test drive in a Tesla and experienced full self-driving, there's a lot of people who are afraid of it. Man, Elon Musk really has achieved a safety level. They can drive better than we can. They really can. They can see more than we can see. They can respond faster than we can respond. And the darn things just drive so well now. All right, from Carrie Lake. Once we restore honest elections in America, every other problem is solved. Kinda. I would argue that the return of Christ will solve the problems when we're all living under Torah. It is not white supremacy to investigate fraud.
It's Democrats who have put Somali diaspora in Minneapolis at the center of their party and their state's politics. It's a small portion of the population. There is a bunch of fraud that goes on. And even Tim Walz has claimed that any investigation of this fraud is akin to white supremacy.
No,
which
he
is
hasn't. No, he has not claimed that. He has not said that.
He has said that.
He has not said that.
This is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy.
It's Democrats who have put...
He did not say that. Yeah, he did. Good job, Scott Jennings. Love it. All right, so this is from Jan Jekulek. This is the harrowing reality of detransitioning. Oh, I like these. We haven't seen this detransitioning stuff.
The community treat you.
I laugh because it's so comically awful how they treated me from the very beginning. Before I was involved with politics, before I was a public speaker, the moment that I detransitioned, I was human garbage to them. I was subhuman even. They told me, they immediately turned their backs on me. They were quick to blame me. They told me, this is all your fault. Don't put this on us. You were the one who said yes. You were the one who wanted this. You were a complete idiot for not knowing that you weren't truly transgender. So, don't come crying to us. And you should shut up about this, because you might scare somebody out of getting the care that they really need. And you are a waste of resources. You were a waste of the love and support of your family. You didn't deserve the support of your doctors. You didn't deserve any of this. So stay quiet and stop being a problem. And they said even worse. There were people who were trying to compel me to retransition, people who were trying to tell me to kill myself even, just for the fact that I was going against the dogma. I stayed low for a little bit. I apologized to the same people who were abusing me, because I was a freshly traumatized 16-year-old girl. I had been bullied in school before, but nobody had ever treated me this horribly over such a painful part of my life. But after a while of being painfully isolated, I started to really think, the way that they are treating me is not deserved. I'm speaking to nothing but my experience, to the way that I feel, and to reality. I'm going to speak up, regardless of whether they want me to or not.
Good.
And I just knew that there had to be other detransitioners out there, and very quickly I learned that they were in the thousands.
Wow.
And I'm sure that it's doubled, tripled, quadrupled over the years, the amount of us who are out there. We are never going to know the real numbers. I'm grateful that I chose to speak up, and that God has given me the strength in order to do so. And some of the harassment, the hatred I faced over the years has gotten worse. I've been doxxed. I have had people assaulting me, chasing after me in government buildings, who have tried to hurt me, who have wished death upon me. But I've also received an infinite amount more love. And I'm not chasing validation.
Good.
I don't care how people feel about this. I just want something to get done. That's why I'm in this.
This is the way. Good job. I'm glad to see Chloe detransition. I mean, I don't really understand the whole transgender thing. It's not something I've ever had to deal with or experience myself, only from an outsider looking in. And it's just, I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to go through this, to get the idea in your head that you're in the wrong body, and then take some kind of action to change your body. I mean, just that alone is just so terrible, to think that God, that you would be born in the wrong body, and then trying to change that yourself, only to realize you are the person God made you to be, and then trying to get back to that. The amount of scars and pain that you would have as a result of that, depending on how far you went, man, that's hard. I mean, but to be redeemed from that, for her mentality, Chloe's mentality about, I don't care what people think. I don't care, no matter what they're going to do to me, they're not going to shut her up. That takes courage. And that is really exemplifying who she is in God, in Christ. So that's exciting for her. Good. From Grums, everybody needs to stop caring about being called a racist. It's been absolutely weaponized. It means nothing now. Agreed. Let's see. The Trump admin sues Virginia for giving in-state tuition to illegal immigrants while Americans pay full price. Good. What is this about?
You mentioned, for example, how much, say, Hillary and and Obama have changed their tune from prior speeches where they were hard-nosed about not letting in anyone who's a criminal into the country, having secure borders, all that stuff. So why did they change their tune? The reason is that they discovered that those people vote for them. That's why they want the open borders.
Because if you let people in, they know the Democrats let them in, they'll vote for Democrats.
Yes.
If you allow them to vote.
Which they're actively doing. They turn a blind eye to illegal voting.
Well, California literally doesn't allow you to show your license.
California and New York have made it illegal to show your photo ID when voting. Effectively, they've made it impossible to prove fraud. Impossible. They've essentially legalized fraudulent voting in California and New York and many other parts of the country.
There's no rational explanation that I've ever seen anyone give as to why that would be the policy, unless you were trying to just allow people to vote illegally, because there's no other reason.
The same people who are demanding that you have a vaccine passport are the same ones saying you need no ID to vote. Same people.
It would be great if federally they could pass some kind of a law to where if you can't prove your votes and who cast them, then your electoral votes don't count. That way, these states, when they get governed by malicious people, if they try and make it so that they can not count the legitimate votes, invalidate the legitimate votes, then I don't know. How do you do that?
You mentioned, for example, how
I sure hope they can eliminate the filibuster so that we can actually do something about this. Tesla news, Grokpedia news, Grokpedia, Grok image, more grok.com. This is essential. The SAVE Act ensures only U.S. citizens can vote in the U.S. elections. Last year, House GOP passed the SAVE Act, but Senate Dems blocked us. Really? 264 days. House GOP passed the SAVE Act again, but it was held up by the Senate. I agree with I agree with Senator Mike Lee. It's time to pass the SAVE Act now, which requires proof of citizenship to register and vote in federal elections. Passed in the House April. Yep. This is essential. The Minnesota fraud scandal is merely the tip of the iceberg that is the Democrat immigration corruption complex. It does seem like this is a pretty... I was having this conversation with Paul, who's been on the show a couple times before, and who should be on the show. We should be having him on the show again relatively soon. Paul, if you're in the audience, looking forward to having you on to talk about your book. He was wondering if Nick Shirley's exposing the fraud isn't equivalent to an earthquake. You know, like I figured if you were to look at the attributes of the different seals and correlate them to the impacts that they have on cultures and peoples and you know, the things that affect our lives, the governance of our lives, if there's not some correlation with these events and the seals, I don't know if I would. I mean, based on what we've looked at with the seals, seem to be associated with eclipses. So I presented the idea that maybe the eclipses and the actual seals are like the hour marks on God's clock for transitioning to the kingdom of heaven. So basically they're the major markers, if you will, when there's an eclipse and there's an event that, you know, matches what was given for that particular seal. But like these events, like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, had a massive impact on the world. This is seemingly having a growing impact on the world. If these aren't like the quarter hour marks, like if these aren't like part of the events that are bringing us closer and closer, they're almost like they're part of the curse going out throughout the whole world, going into the homes of the thieves and perjurers and burning down the homes to the ground, even to the pillars. But to me, it seems as though this is like, these are par for the course for the harvest, eliminating the tares, separating the wheat and the tares, and getting us closer to that point of redemption. So yeah. All right, what's this?
It's kind of amazing, what AI can do these days. I don't know if
No, he's just talking about Grok and how it can be funny. It is funny. Grok Unhinged is hilarious. If you ask it to roast you, that's pretty funny. Let's see. Did you know you're paying Somalian pirates to rob us with NGOs?
And be owned entirely by a 501c3. Did you know that? I didn't know that. That's something that's apparently new, or maybe it's not new. Maybe it's something that's always existed. But apparently it's called some sort of entity that is it's a disregarded entity. So apparently if the LLC operates in the mission of the 501c3, it can then funnel all of its profit back to the nonprofit. You see how that works? So they create LLC.
Yeah, of course. I do talk to people in the chat. I tried to respond to the chat in between segments just so that we can stay on topic. Right now, I'm not going to comment on the drinking. I don't personally drink to anything excess. I've had a lifelong limit of no more than 2 drinks ever. I don't believe that there's any value in losing your sobriety, so it's not something I really care to comment on.
LLCs underneath a 501c3. The 501c3 owns the LLC, owns each one of these businesses, and that blanket organization then funnels all the profits from those LLCs tax-free straight back to the nonprofit because, well, it's a nonprofit, it's a 501c3, tax exempt, right? Well, isn't that interesting? So, if you have a fraud scheme and you have a bunch of random businesses that don't do anything at all, well, then that's a pretty good way to create a massive network of money laundering. Wow, interesting stuff. And it turns out that we have stumbled upon in the investigations that we're working on out here a ton of these things, an absolute ton of them. And I don't think any of this is legal. I mean, I would be very curious to see if anybody has any information about how this could be legal. I don't think it's possible. There's no way that this is the way that this is set up properly. I think what's really going on here is that they have filed all of their companies in a way that they can figure out, it's all tax-free. We're a nonprofit. We're here to benefit the, Somalian kids community or some bullshit.
I think we get the point. He's just ragging on this. Yeah. Yeah, and also Fury does a really good job in commenting and responding. Unless you guys address me directly.
That's our.
I typically let Fury just handle responses in the comments. Her and I have very similar opinions.
Why It Matters segment for the night. The latest revelations join others in which suspected Somali fraudsters stole more than $9 billion in federal funds from 14 state-run agencies dating back to 2018. Somali Americans make up 89% of the defendants charged. The absolute scale of the fraud just beggars belief. Where were the spot checks? Where were the officials? It seems totally impossible that the Democratic leadership was not somehow in on this. Just think about how outrageous this is.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. It's how, this is a big red pill. That's the point, is how is this allowed to go on for so long?
You are wondering whether you can afford to have another child because childcare is so expensive. Meanwhile, a group of Somalis in Minnesota got $110 million for childcare centers that don't exist. You can't afford to buy a home, but 100 Somalis spent millions on luxury properties, millions of your taxpayer dollars. You're paying $30,000 a year for terrible health care, and they got millions for healthcare centers that they never opened for patients that they never serviced.
Yep.
But the fraud is a microcosm of an illness that plagues our political elites, especially on the left. More broadly, everybody comes before you. For decades, the Democrats have pushed for mass migration, both legal and illegal, which drove down the wages of working-class Americans while making competition for housing, healthcare, and an education, the hallmarks of the American dream, even fiercer. And if you objected, if you had the audacity to ask why your children were being disinherited in your country, The Democratic elites called you racist.
Yep.
Leftist American elites developed an entire woke vocabulary as a smokescreen to mask the mass pillaging of the American working class. They smeared hardworking people who work 10 times harder than they do, by the way, and make a fraction as much. When those working class Americans objected to having their jobs sent overseas and those jobs that remained here degraded by a glut of cheap labor. Millionaires on cable news called you racist if you said, wait a minute, why don't my kids matter? That's why people are so angry about the Somali fraud case. It is the epitome of the fraud perpetrated on the American people through the collusion of the Democratic Party, the liberal media, and people willing to take advantage of the immense generosity of the American people and then spit in our faces.
It just reminded me of Matthew 24. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, which if you're not in an area that is suffering earthquakes, you may not realize this, but just look at the statistics. They're up thousands and thousands of percentages. As a matter of fact, there was just another 5.0 earthquake in California, I think, last night. Pestilences and famines, there's a massive issue with homelessness and people getting food, especially when the Somalis are taking all the money intended. Like we heard tonight that money was intended for 19,000 children. Imagine all the people who need money who aren't getting the money. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up, deceive many, and because of lawlessness will abound. What we're experiencing is lawlessness that has been abounding, a lot of fraud. The love of many will grow cold. Can you imagine how the people on the left can do this for their own gain at the cost of others' lives? But he who endures till the end shall be saved, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end will come. Which I think we have a pretty good timeline for when to expect the end. You are here. I don't know. Maybe we're about here. We're in 2025. So 2024, 2025, 26, 27, 28. Yeah. So I guess we're just a little bit over here. Right here. There you go. All right, go back. All right, Nick Shirley. What is this? I don't think I've seen this yet.
Anyway, no, don't call any parents. Anybody want to take me up? You $100,000 if you can. $100,000. You can disprove my information. Okay, so give me a copy of what you have, and I can disprove my information. 100,000. Give it here. 100,000. 100,000. 100,000. Page by page. Keep going page by page. Keep going. Come on, girl. Just keep your video on it, okay? And just screenshot it while you're going. Let me know when you got it. They got it. Oh, he's going page by page. Just the energy we need in the Twin Cities. If anything on any of these pages is inaccurate, I'll give you $100,000. Come on, let's go. If you can disprove it. I'm trying to. Okay, you got that page? Here's the next page. He's showing them page by page. Everybody got it? Yeah. Hey. Okay. Wow. $100,000 offer. Prove me wrong. Anybody take me up on it? Oh yeah. If you can't, you have to have verified information.
Verified information that his information is wrong. The offer was made outside the Quality Leering Center in Minneapolis. Anybody wants to take me up $100,000 if you can disprove my information? David was heard saying as he let people take photos of his papers. This is great. The HHS Doge team has expanded the Defend the Spend system to require all ACF payments across America to be justified. Since March 2025, Defend the Spend has applied only to HSS discretionary payments, which did not include ACH payments. Elon responded, "This straightforward proof of work requirement, which is trivial for any legitimate organization to provide, is basic common sense and will have a very positive effect on reducing fraud." Minnesota daycare scandal sparks concern over election policy that allows a voter to vouch for others. Elon responded, vouching for randos during critical elections is nuts. Agreed. All right. We're bringing in Tim Walz to answer for massive fraud in Minnesota. 2 hearings. This will be good. Trader Tim, time to answer for your crime. So the first one looks like it starts on January 7th. That'll be interesting. What is this? Powerful words. Elon reposted this 8 hours ago.
I want to talk about how the average American is starting to feel as major corruption is being exposed, especially now with the case in Minnesota and the daycare fraud. This is not just about money being stolen anymore. It's about a growing feeling that being a good citizen, being a hardworking person, paying your taxes may not be worth it. People are starting to feel stupid. They think, well, I'm here, I'm playing by the rules, I am working hard, I'm providing for my family, I'm doing the hard work, and I'm the idiot. You see the memes online and we laugh, like, oh, me on my way to work, thinking that I should have just opened a daycare center in Minnesota and made millions. And again, it is funny,
I'm sitting
but
here
it's
thinking
also
that myself.
deeply sad. Because the next thing is, why am I...
I'm sitting here thinking, like, these are legitimate businesses I could have opened up. If I had known that there was that kind of money available, I would have opened up a legitimate daycare business. $2.5 million for a daycare business? Yeah, sign me up. I like kids. Bring it on. We'll have a hell of a playground. Awesome lunches and nap time.
Even doing this. And that's the part that no one wants to talk about, because this kind of feeling shapes culture.
Although it would probably be pretty creepy with me running it. We'll have my wife lead it. She'll be the lead.
I come from Brazil, as you know, and in Brazil we have this thing we call the Brazilian way, which is the idea that there's always a shortcut, there's always a loophole, a way to take advantage of a situation. And people think it comes out of nowhere. Oh, it's just the Brazilian way of living. No, this comes from years of Brazilian people being robbed and nothing being done with the thieves. So we now think that survival means cheating the system before it cheats you. Eventually, people stop believing that being honest is rewarded. When a society teaches its citizens that being honest makes you a loser, well, that's really dangerous. You don't just lose money. You lose trust. You
Thieves
lose
and
dignity.
perjurers.
You lose the culture that holds it all together. And once that's gone, it's really hard to get back.
Yeah. Boom. Agreed. Powerful words. What is this? Trader Tim needs to go to prison. So Brandon Tatum posted this 11 hours ago. Elon reposted it 8 hours ago. Says, now we know why tampon Tim Walz went after Elon Musk and Doge so hard. Really?
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So... And if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take that. Just telling you.
Come on.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone.
Idiot.
They've got that.
I don't know. Are there any decals on Teslas? I guess there are on the cars. Is there? I'm trying to think if there's any decals that could come off on my Teslas. There might be one. There might be one on the Model X. Not on the Cybertruck. Cybertruck is flat. Leverage your company's knowledge with Grok. All right, we don't need Grok. Fraud stuff.
Very easy. Look at COVID. Yes. By the way, it's like really easy to take advantage of the federal government. It's very easy.
Very easy. Look at COVID.
Yes.
Everybody got rich during COVID.
Looks like in terms of the COVID payments, there was...
I'm not a very good fraudster. I'll be the first to admit that. I tried applying for those business loans that they were giving because I run several businesses. Everything I do, I try to run it as a business just so that I have legal paper trails of everything. One of the reasons why I didn't want to, yesterday I talked about when Chris and I were doing Two Witnesses Live, I insisted that we not have it as a ministry because I didn't want any occasion for accusation that we were only in it for the money. No, I want to be held accountable for the things that we do, and because there's a lot of fraud that happens in churches. The business of religion is a very big problem, and that's how you end up with a lot of false prophets. is people who really don't know the scripture, who don't really listen to the Holy Spirit. They're mainly in it for the money or the fame or the power. You know, there's a lot of narcissism involved in religion as well, to sell their souls to him in a lot of ways. And it's very easy to, Elon's saying it's very easy to defraud the government, man. I tried applying for a lot of the programs during COVID. Maybe I was too honest. I didn't qualify for any of them.
Something like $200 billion of COVID payment fraud taken by fraudsters out of the country. That's like I think, listen, if there's going to be fraud, it should at least be domestic. But they managed to get $200 billion out of the country. I'm like, what? Didn't we notice that? By the way, it's like...
Yeah, I tried because there was a lot of us. There was a bunch of us who had right when COVID hit, we were lost our jobs, lost our income sources. We were doing very well right before COVID hit. But I had a lot of friends, a lot of engineers who lost their jobs, and we were trying to start something up and get it funded with these COVID programs. Apparently, if we had lied and just said what we needed to get the funding, that's apparently the way, like that Brazilian girl was saying, is it's almost like when you live in a corrupt system, it forces you to be, it can force you. Thankfully, we didn't go down that path. We ended up, God took care of us. Ultimately, God took care of us. It was very hard. It was a challenge, but, in a lot of ways, he had us prepared. I don't know about you, but he had us prepared. Oddly enough, in ways that we didn't expect. I was expecting basically 3.5 years of famine, and that was never an issue. Food was never an issue. It was money. We went from having 800, perfect credit scores to trashing our credit scores just because we didn't have the income coming in like we needed. Anyway. Apparently, it's only easy to defraud the government if you are a thief or a perjurer. All right, Harvard professor torches Ivy League school over woke, anti-white, anti-male culture and blistering essay. Nah, I don't want to read it. Essays are too long on here. I used to think this was right-wing hyperbole. American citizens pay 40% tax. Politicians use these funds to attract immigrants and give them benefits. Then they loosen voting rules. Then they win, and the cycle repeats. If called out, they call you racist, phobic, to deflect. I'm now confident this is a statistical fact. Okay. Take your word for it. That's from Arthur McWaters. Elon agreed. He said, yup. Yeah, I hope we have a better 2025 was pretty good. It's funny. I'll tell you, it wasn't until, so my prayers weren't working. This is why I'm careful not to overhype, my religious purity. Is my prayers weren't working. And maybe this could help somebody if you're going through a hard time. During some of the hardest times we were going through, we were praying and seeking God, and it wasn't until I allowed someone else, basically my neighbor, I was talking to my neighbor about the hardship. He told me he prayed for us, and literally within a week, all of our needs were taken care of. I often wonder if that dude's not an archangel because his prayers work. I love that guy. Okay. From Jeffrey Mead, the same man indicted for laundering over $1 million in the feeding of our future scam now owns homes running assisted living facilities that the state is paying. Interesting.
It's an assisted living facility, and it receives a lot of taxpayer money. Here in Minnesota, the number of people getting help in assisted living facilities is up, double the growth of other programs. But here's the kicker. The rate of payment in this assisted living space is 10 to 15 times the growth in other programs. Hi. So we pulled the data on assisted living facilities in the Minneapolis area. Minneapolis, as you might expect, has a lot, 169. St. Paul, with a population of 307,000, has 83. But Brooklyn Center, 30,000 population, has 106, and Brooklyn Park, population of 84,000, has 181, more than Minneapolis, a city 5 times its size. But this assisted living facility puts this all in perspective. It's owned by a man indicted for laundering $1 million in the Feeding Our Future scam. He's Gandhi Mohammed, now Gandhi Abdi Kadai, and his LLC owns the homes. His wife runs the assisted living facilities, and the state is continuing to pay as he awaits his trial.
First thing I think they should do is put up some guardrails. If he's been indicted for fraud, maybe they should pause the other payments to his businesses from the state. Make it even put it in like a separate account. I don't know, maybe an escrow account, and then give him, or just give him back pay. If he is proven innocent, then give him the money later.
Fair enough.
That's a better way to protect the state rather than trying to, like, let's say all this
as long as it doesn't put people in the assisted living at risk.
With this healthcare center's fraud as well, then it's going to be harder to get that money back. But News Nation impressed me with this. This is some good journalism. Won't see it from MSNBC or MS Now, whatever it's called. We won't see it from CNN likely. CNN's kind of been trying to take the opposite approach, and it seems like they've been trying to delegitimize the people who are out here finding this fraud. We need to keep our foot on the gas on this for a couple of reasons. One, they could be just burning taxpayer dollars, and that's your money, my money, everybody's money. But it's likely schemes like this are happening around the country. But second off, this also gives us targets of who we need to get out of our country. They're in here scamming our welfare systems, gotta go, get them out. So yeah, I like the concept of, and I just made this up off the top of my head, citizen audits, citizens coming by, seeing, hey, what's going on here? Does this seem legit? Does it look good? Does it look real? Does it look fake?
I like that idea.
Oftentimes where there's smoke, there's fire. That can help get public attention on it, and then help the government come in to audit those businesses. So yeah, let's stop the fraud, let's save taxpayers' money, and let's get these bad people out of our society. If they're not committing fraud, good. If they are, gotta go. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Just a reminder, I have a free email newsletter.
I agree with everything he just said. It's probably what Elon reposted 8 hours ago. I will say, in regards to our personal financial situation, right before my neighbor prayed, it also coincided with trying to make money doing this full time, doing YouTube full time. We were able to bring in a little bit of money, but that was part of the problem is both Chris and I had invested so much time and effort. It was not sufficient for paying our bills. I mean, it was on a good trajectory. It eventually would have probably, but I believe that God made it very clear that that is not how he wanted me to be taking care of our bills. The situation we're in right now is significantly better, to where our finances are completely taken care of and we have enough extra to be able to afford to donate all of our time towards other ventures, including time in doing these videos. So I think that's probably why our prayers were going unanswered is, sometimes if you're praying for something that's not God's will, that's a good reason. It's an indicator that is, he's not answering it for a reason. So sometimes a lack of an answer is your answer. It was actually when my neighbor prayed for us when we did the big transition. Yeah, there you go. Things we can learn from how God responds. I think we watched this yesterday. This is a repost again. We reported Elon Omar connected cash for ballots harvesting scheme. Minnesota harvester. We saw this yesterday.
O'Keefe here in downtown Minneapolis at the scene of the crime. The person you're about to meet, Liban Muhammad, aka King Liban 1, boasts about the 100.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday. It's coming back up again. So this was reposted 19 hours ago. Actual faces of the daycare owners. This will be good. These do not look like people you want watching your kids. Yeah, Chris and I were definitely unequally yoked. There was a lot of pressure and a lot of stress when we were working together. It was clear that was not God's intention for our paths. I'm glad he's doing well. I think that is what needed to happen, is him to go his own way and me to go my own way. So I'm glad he's doing well. I don't know. I honestly don't know how he's doing. I haven't talked to him much in quite some time. Don't really follow up on what he does. He and I have very different doctrinal opinions. I think he's still very young in his understanding of spiritual matters. He spends a lot of his he's good at research, but you know, he also is. I want to be careful what I say here because I don't want to disparage Chris in any way. I absolutely love him as my brother. There's no hate between us at all. We're just on different paths. I'm ecstatic and encouraging him in all of his endeavors when it comes to what it is that God put on his heart, because God will take care of him. And I believe that, when we're doing what God wants us to do, that's when we're truly blessed. So that's all I'll say about that. Yeah, these guys look creepy. That should have been your first clue. You should. This is why you should have to send a photo of the person who's applying for the finances for the daycare, because that would be your first clue. Like, so this guy wants he wants us to give him money to take care of our children. Maybe we should ask some more questions. Yeah. Yep. SpaceX stuff. The dog ate my homework. Never in the history of burglaries has anyone broken into a daycare to steal employees and enrollment. This is funny. This is what I was saying of just like suspicious much. Do you guys see this? This is hilarious. What's the first thing you think of when you hear this?
Unfortunately, we saw that there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also
now we can't prove that we were legitimate
from our check papers that were from our book. This is devastating news, and we don't know why this is targeting our Somali community, as one video made by a specific individual made this all happen. We've been receiving hateful messages through our voice.
I love how they want to blame Nick Shirley for literally just knocking on the door going, I would like to enroll my child here. Can I have some information, please? Yeah, one video that went viral because he went to multiple daycare centers and exposed fraud, and it's no surprise that suddenly you're trying to hide your tracks.
Voice notes threatening us for the past couple of days.
Who do they think they're fooling?
Including one that happened yesterday morning when after the break-in. This is frightening and exhausting because this is happening to us Somali communities as Somali Americans. We are supposed to stand with each other and help each other through everything that's happening. This is also sad that a video can cause all of this. I want to say that there are hundreds of daycares out there, Somali daycares that are out there, and we all help our children and everyone in our community. We have high quality daycares, and this is very sad news that
prove it.
One individual who
just let us see the kids, let us see the daycare and the kids and the programs in place.
Made a false claim about fraud that is happening in the daycares, how engaged everyone else to come and do this to us.
That's just funny. Somali daycare manager speaks to them. He's the manager. The dude looks like he's 12. Man, am I getting that old? Speaks to the media after his business was allegedly broken into. I love it. There's everybody's skeptical. Claims student enrollment and employee documentation. How stupid are these people? Like, seriously. Oh, let's take some fingerprints. I can't imagine they did a very good job even at the fake break-in. Never in the history of burglaries has anyone broken into a daycare to steal employee and enrollment records and rip up checkbooks. Right. The dog ate my homework. That's Elon's response. Clever. Harvard has no one left who teaches Western civilization. Harvard, Western civilization. No one. Wow. Starlink, don't need to watch that stuff. Don't really need to watch that. Or Tesla. Engineering hitting 1.2 megawatt on semi-charger. I can't wait until they make these things more readily available, because our truck can use these supercharging networks for the semis and charge them in like 10 to 15 minutes. I'm kind of eager to see that work. Grok solves Tufts problems. Tesla charging. Tim Wall. Oh, this is from the B. If we don't fund Somali daycares, how will the children ever lear? How are the children ever lear? After seeing the picture of some of the daycare owners, they give leering a new. The picture of leering, you look in a dictionary under the word leer, it'll be a picture of the Somali daycare owners. The enemy is within. Let's see. We're almost done here. I want to get to these other videos. We're over an hour. I wanted to actually spend less time on this. Wait until you learn about California's homeless industrial complex. It's taxpayer-funded money laundering. That's next. Okay, I'm kind of over the Somali fraud stuff. Transgender, that's different. In 2023, a transgender terrorist killed 3 children and 3 adults at a Christian school in Nashville. She did it because she hated Christians, hated white people, and was radicalized by gender ideology. Joe Biden's FBI knew this and deliberately hid it from the public because they wanted to push a false narrative that white people are the biggest terrorist threat to the country. I don't say this with hyperbole. The Biden admin was a crime perpetrated against the American people. The people who decided to hide this information from us should be in jail. Yes, when are they going to be in jail? I hope soon. Covenant schedule, alternate text. White school while I was something, hate religion. Yeah. Stupid allergies. It's Tesla supercharger. Nurse attacked by Afghan migrant in a crowbar rampage reveals she was beaten nearly to death as she reveals the gruesome injuries inflicted on her. Terrible. Weather by to see. Charlie was right. It's not a great replacement theory. It's a great replacement reality. Just this year, 3.6 million foreigners will invade America. 10 to 15 million will enter by the end of Joe Biden's term. Each will probably have 3 to 5 kids on average, while native-born Americans have 1.5 per couple. You are being replaced by design, truly the most depressing story we cover. So this was December 27th, 2023. Charlie was right. Whether by design or not, replacement is an objective reality. The demographics make that clear. Here's another tragedy. This was reposted 21 hours ago. Sweden, 25-year-old woman on the left was allegedly murdered and dismembered by the trans woman on the right last Saturday. His chosen trans name is Vilma Andersson, the name of a Swedish 17-year-old girl who was murdered and dismembered. Previously, he attempted to kidnap and rape and murder a 10-year-old girl. He was given 28-month sentence for this crime. Why are these people not on death row? Unbelievable. You take a life, you relinquish your own. This is the F-word guy.
You have to make the punishment infinitely worse than the crime. And I'm talking about deporting the entire family, denaturalizing the entire family, sending the entire group of them back to Somalia. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And anybody complicit and anybody involved in this scam. And until we have a candidate and a person that's willing to do that, then I'm not really interested.
All right, we get the point. I got to keep moving on past these. So David Sachs in California, we have $24 billion going to homeless programs. Okay.
But you can start to see that people are starting to pull the thread here, and they're seeing like where this fraud goes, and it's starting to raise questions about lots of other government programs as well. For example, in California, we have $24 billion going to quote unquote homeless programs. And yet the number of homeless people keeps rising. And, everyone knows it's called the homeless industrial complex. They can't pass an audit. The state refuses to even permit an audit. So we know there's massive fraud going on in that program. There's massive fraud going on in entitlements across the country. But you can start to see that people are starting to pull the thread here. And there's...
Yep. All right, we are getting close to the end here, folks. When I first saw that Tim Walz changed the Minnesota flag to resemble the Somali flag, I thought the story was too crazy to be true. Maybe it was a coincidence. Then I saw this video and it becomes obvious. These crooked politicians sold out our country.
And then it goes back, and then it goes back. Born to a throne, strong in Rome, pilot throne.
Yep. Oh, I like Neuralink news. Neuralink will start high-volume production of brain-computer interface devices and move to a streamlined, almost entirely automated surgical procedure in 2026. Ruh-roh. Device threads will go through the dura without the need to remove it. This is a big deal. Neuralink 2025. Getting close. Well, if the mark of the beast is indeed Neuralink, they're getting closer. I still don't think that they could do the high scale. So the requirement here for the mark of the beast is every man, woman, and child, whether free or slave, must take the mark of the beast. And I don't think that right now they can scale to 9 billion. It makes much more sense that the mark of the beast is a belief. Let's see, Dave Ramsey. So you're telling me the Leering Center Google page said they were open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Yes, Dave. Then Nick Shirley showed no kids during there during the day. They changed it to 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And now we learn they're only licensed to operate until 6 p.m. Not exactly Lex Luthor smart fraud. I love it. All right. What happened? That was weird. Did he just post a bunch of new posts? We were getting close, and then he posted a bunch more. We were here. Former FBI, the White House, President Trump's administration in dismantling the Minnesota-based Somali fraud network that looted hundreds of millions of dollars from American taxpayers. To date, the Department of Justice has charged 98 total defendants in several Medicaid fraud and related case programs. The Department of Homeland Security is on the ground, going door to door, conducting large-scale criminal and Homeland Security investigations. HHS began requiring a justification receipt or photo evidence for all child care-related payments nationwide, required Minnesota conduct a full audit of child care centers. Yeah, who is that? Tim Walz responsible for implementing that? HHS froze $185 million in funding to Minnesota. That's helpful. Grok stuff. Let's see. Oh, it's a Grok response. We imported Somali pirates. What did we expect? Also, they killed American soldiers in Somalia and did unspeakable things. Black Hawk Down is a tame movie version of what happened. Interesting. Don't know if we'll watch this whole thing. What's this about?
So, as you can see, no one here is answering.
Oh, is this a daycare?
It's just past 10 a.m. right now. Oh, looking to get some information about childcare. Okay, so as you can see, I just asked about childcare. Is this childcare for children? It's not? Yeah, I just want to make sure this is Tawakkul House. Yes. Okay, just wanted to make sure. What's the email address? This is Noreen Childcare here at 2918. Okay, how come I can't receive childcare here? Okay, face covering required. I saw this location on the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. I just saw you go in a moment ago, ma'am. Are you unfamiliar with this address right here, 2918, is listed? I don't know. The kids started to answer honestly.
Yeah.
you can tell that the community is upset at large. And so if we just walk away from this, then obviously that's going to have, well-documented after effects.
Again, okay? I have kids sleeping in my room.
So, yeah.
I'm going to DCYF Child Care Center.
Okay?
I'm going. There's licenses for these places. I'm going there to see if you guys have applications for service.
Yeah.
Do you have a right?
Yes, it's a business.
Aren't daycares public businesses? I don't know if is there a right to privacy in a public business? I mean, I'm sure there is to a degree. I mean, they can trespass you, but surely it's not harassment to simply ask if you could be a patronage of the business.
You've seen my journalism, so you guys know I'm not a provocateur or looking for a fight. I think I probably am gonna just head out of this community right now. I mean, I've got 12 out of 20 places, and out of those places, 11 seem incredibly suspicious.
Sure.
One seems legitimate. Okay, wow, that's crazy. This is absolutely.
I don't understand why I guess the police are in a hard position because to one degree they can be trespassed off of the property. But if you're not trespassing, how can the police enforce trespassing?
What?
I'm gonna wait till I come in my house.
No.
You want me to come in front of you?
No. Just go ahead, sir. Have a good night.
That's not like a threat or something, is it?
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right. Have a good day. Whoa. Wow. Intense. Seattle Housing Authority District here in Rainier.
This is in Seattle?
Valley. Here in southeast Seattle. With as many people showing up as there are, and kind of ugly that was starting to feel, I think I'm going to probably call it good for today.
Wow. So this is Ted Cruz posted this. He said it's spreading. That's pretty good. Elon Musk reposted that. I am pleased to end the year by announcing that Kraft Ventures has opened an Austin office. God bless Texas and Happy New Year because they're leaving California. Welcome to Texas. No one will fight harder for the independent and free spirit of Texas than people who know what it's like when that's taken away. Yeah, a lot of people worry about Californians moving to Texas, thinking that they'll convert Texas into California. But if you're not bringing the leaders, the ones responsible for the corruption, maybe it won't be so bad. DEI should be abolished permanently. I never want to be chosen, promoted, or rewarded because of how I look. I want to earn every opportunity on merit through hard work, grit, discipline, and determination. And this is how anyone of honor should be. Agreed. Yeah. In the sweat of your brow should you work all the days of your life. If you want a free handout, until the curse is lifted, that's the way it is. I thought people were joking that Tim Walz changed the Minnesota state flag to resemble the flag of Somalia. They were not joking. I call him Traitor Tim for a reason. Tim Walz is a traitor to America. Indeed. Arnold Schwarzenegger on the day he received U.S. citizenship, 1983. This is the way. I won't play it again. I was hoping I'd have it close by that we could play it again. This is the way. Somalis are 0.37% of the Washington population on the high end. DCYF records reflect that roughly 10% of daycare businesses list Somali as a primary language. I find that odd. Agreed. And there we are. That's the last one. XAI has bought a third building called Mac Harderer. All right, that's what we got for Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Let's go to questions. If you guys have any questions or comments, I didn't see anything new as we were watching the videos. Let's see, I hope and pray that we all have a better 2026, regardless of circumstances. Agree. The last thing anyone. Yep. See, my dog is so. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your dog. The fireworks are getting that. Actually, we have one dog that doesn't care, and our other dog, the one that used to really be afraid of the fireworks, we used to actually have to drug her early on in the day to get her prepped for any fireworks because she'd get so scared. I understand what it's like when you have dogs that are afraid of fireworks. Thankfully, that dog is now blind and deaf, so she's just as happy as can be. She can see just enough so that she can walk to her food and to go outside and to play with her toys. She's the happiest dog in the world now. Since she can't hear anything that scares her. Let's see, Deanna, I heard that Texas, the Muslim problem spreading big time. Yeah, I don't think that's limited to Texas. I think it's probably reported more in Texas, but I think they're invading every single state. I mean, because what is it, 15, 20 million came into the country illegally? All right, let us move on to this video. So I got a couple of them. We watched this one. So this one is about the solar storm tonight. Let's check this one out.
In exactly 6 hours and 23 minutes, something is going to hit Earth. NASA knows it's coming. They've been tracking it for...
So this was 6 hours ago. So I guess in 23 minutes, this is going to happen?
48 hours. It will slam into our planet's magnetic field with the force of 1 billion tons of TNT. NASA's prediction? Tonight, December 31st, 2025, could bring the most spectacular New Year's Eve light show nature has ever produced. But there's something unusual about this solar storm that has space weather forecasters on high alert. Welcome back. On Sunday evening, December 28th, at 10 p.m. UTC, something violent happened on the sun's surface. Sunspot region AR-431-7, a massive magnetic structure 10 times the size of Earth, erupted. The explosion released an M4.2 class solar flare, bright enough...
I don't know if this is explicitly true. This is not coming from one of my normal sources where I get this kind of information. Usually, I would expect BP Earthwatch or Suspicious Observers to report on this. I saw this. It seems legit. Matter of fact, I'll go check those guys to see if they've reported on it yet.
Enough to temporarily blind satellites watching the sun. But the flare was just the warning shot. What followed was a coronal mass ejection, a billion-ton bubble of magnetized plasma torn from the sun's atmosphere and hurled into space. Direction? Straight toward Earth. That alone would be newsworthy. But here's what makes tonight different. At the exact moment this CME arrives, a second threat is approaching. A coronal hole, a canyon-sized tear in the sun's magnetic field, is rotating into position. From this hole pours a high-speed solar wind stream, traveling at 400 miles per second. Two separate solar events, arriving at Earth at the same time. Space weather forecasters call this a double impact scenario, and they're predicting something rare, G2 to G3 geomagnetic storms, possibly stronger. What does that mean for us? Before I show you what could happen tonight, I want to ask you something. How many of you remember the great auroras of 1989? The March storm that knocked out power across Quebec for 9 hours? Or perhaps you witnessed the incredible October 2003 displays when auroras were seen as far south as Texas? Write in the comments, what's the furthest south you've ever seen the Northern Lights? Because tonight, you might break your record. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center released their latest models this morning. If the CME and the solar wind stream hit simultaneously, auroras could be visible tonight from Seattle, Minneapolis, Chicago, Boston, and even as far south as northern New York. For our viewers in Scotland, northern England, and southern Canada, this could be a spectacular show. But here's what fascinates me about this event. We've had 4 separate CMEs launch from the sun in the past 24 hours alone. Not just one, 4. The sun is entering what solar physicists call an active phase of solar cycle 25. Sunspot counts are at levels we haven't seen in nearly 20 years. And there's something else.
Well, it's a hell of a new year. If we get some auroras, I'd say God is trying to get our attention. How many times have we seen auroras way down, further than they've been in centuries? I mean, normally these, you can see the aurora, you're lucky once in a lifetime, but we've already seen them 5 times. This will be number 6, I think, and just like the last year. I don't think it's any coincidence, especially since Revelation 4 talks about the green rainbow around the throne. The only green rainbow that I'm aware of is the aurora borealis.
Atmosphere, Earth's upper atmosphere is unusually warm right now. The Thermosphere Climate Index shows readings of 22.05 times 10 to the 10th watts. That's warm on the scientific scale. When the thermosphere is warm, it absorbs more solar energy, which means geomagnetic storms can intensify more quickly. The 10.7 centimeter solar flux, a measurement of the sun's radio output, is at 196 solar flux units. For context, during solar minimum in 2009, that number dropped to barely 70.
The sun is waking up.
But here's the question nobody's asking. Why are we only getting 48 hours notice? In 2025, with all our satellites, all our solar observatories, all our computer models, why can't we predict these storms weeks in advance? The answer tells you everything about how little we truly understand our own star. Solar physicist Dr. Tamitha Skov, who tracks space weather daily, posted something intriguing 2 days ago. She noted that the CME from AR4317 has an unusually strong magnetic field embedded in it. If that field is oriented southward, opposite to Earth's magnetic field, it will punch through our defenses like a knife through butter. If it's oriented northward, the storm could fizzle. We won't know until it arrives. 93 million miles of space, and we can't tell which direction a magnetic field is pointing until it's practically knocking on our door. This is what keeps NASA scientists awake at night. Not the CME we see coming. The one.
All of these things are what's weakening our shields around the Earth, which is accelerating the magnetic pole shift. So, every time I see this stuff, I think we're right on track for a pole shift in 2026. I mean, I'm shocked to be saying this myself. I wasn't expecting a pole shift until much later. I was expecting that stuff to happen like here, like when Apophis is going to hit. I was expecting like seal number 6. I even wrote it in here. Seal number 6 and seal number 7 in this 3.5 year period, which starts after 2028. So I wasn't expecting anything. And part of that was also based on Ben Davidson's from Suspicious Observers. His estimates, they've gotten down to like between 2030 and 2040. With a small chance of it happening sooner. So that's why I was like, it made more sense to me that seal number 6 would be opened here if seal number 6 is the magnetic pole shift. But with this constant increase in these CMEs that are doubling and tripling up on the planet, this is very much becoming a reality. And even Ben Davidson is acknowledging that he cannot rightly, from what I understand, cannot rightly estimate when it will hit. Literally could just happen any day. This is as good a date as any. This would line up with a annular solar eclipse, and it would match seal number 6, according to this chiastic structure, this mirror image. So the big question is, what is seal number 5? Is this? I was thinking yesterday, I wonder if this is the public acknowledgement of the upcoming tragedies that are coming on the world. Because the Bible does talk about fear of the things coming on the earth. Matter of fact, maybe we could go look at that. If we continue reading, let's see, therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel, I think that was the Al-Aqsa flood, standing in the holy place, and let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not go down and take anything out of his house. And let him who is in the field not go back and get his clothes. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days, and pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Then if anyone says to you, look, here is Christ, or there, do not believe it. For false Christs, Christ means anointed, false anointed ones, and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. You know what I don't get is most people read this, where they read this to where false prophets will rise to show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible. They all ignore the if possible part, even the elect. In other words, it's not possible to deceive the elect. But the deceptions are so good that if anything was going to deceive them, it would be these deceptions. But the point here is that if possible, meaning that it's not possible. So many people miss that. See, I've told, and this is a reference to, Jesus is, he says these things. See, I have told you beforehand. That's a callback to John 14. I tell you these things beforehand so that when they come to pass, you will believe. Therefore, if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out, or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. I wonder if that's another reference to like the potential for, like it says he's coming in the clouds. I wonder if it's a potential reference to, as the lightning goes from east to west, if it's not something that fills the whole sky. Just a thought. For wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light and the stars. So this is seal 6. So between here, so this is seal 6. So is this telling us that Jesus comes before seal 6? So where's seal 4? So seal 4 would be the great tribulation. So this is seal 4 right here. And let him not go. I mean, so if you knew what was the abomination of desolation, a lot of people think that's pork in the temple, which was something that happened in the past. We learn more from Luke 21, where it says that when Israel is surrounded, its desolation is near. I believe both of those are referring to the Alexa flood, which is also linked to Revelation 12, the dragon who casts out the flood after the woman, but the earth swallows it up. Let me see if I can find the place in this video here from Yisrael Goldstein. He just did a video recently. Yisrael Gold. Oops. My typing is not that great here. There he is. He just did a video where he was talking about this.
Why did the Bible begin with the story of creation?
I think it was yesterday. Not that. Bondi Beach. Here it is.
Second week anniversary of the Hanukkah massacre at Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia. As soon as I heard the news on the first night of Hanukkah, as Sydney, Australia was from the first in the world to usher in Hanukkah, I was awaiting my annual phone call from my dear brother-in-law, Rabbi Ullman, and my youngest sister, his wife, Sterni Ullman. They would always call me to wish me a happy Hanukkah and give a report of how their event went on in Bondi Beach, as they have done for the last 40 years, gathering thousands of their congregants and other members of the Sydney community to usher in the beautiful holiday of Hanukkah. This is a holiday that we all look forward to all year long because it's 8 days of celebration, of victory, of light over darkness. This year, 2 weeks ago, I got a very different phone call. A phone call of horror that there's been a mass shooting event on Bondi Beach. I instinctively knew right away, this is my brother-in-law's event. How in the world did this happen? As the evening went on, I learned more and more, learning of the horrific 15 innocent civilians that were shot dead on this ground that I'm sitting on right now. The menorah that's right over my shoulder behind me, you can see that is where the event was supposed to take place. One of the 15 people that got shot and killed was my dear nephew, Rabbi Eli Schlenger, 41 years old, leaving behind my niece, 5 beautiful children, a 2-month-old baby. I just spent this weekend with them around the Sabbath table. Just looking at them, my heart was shattered. Seeing this young, now widow, with 5 orphans, a 2-month-old baby who's not going to remember his father in real life because of this terror attack, a blatant anti-Semitism that was not only allowed to occur, but was incited by the rhetoric that was promoted and allowed in the streets of Australia. Blood is on their hands, who did not shut this thing down 2 years ago already. Well, today, at the second anniversary, I want to share with you a thought. We are taught wherever you think, wherever your thoughts are, that's where you can be. So I want to ask you at this very moment
Another picture
to
of
think
Bondi
about
Beach.
where I am right now on Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. I want you to close your eyes and transport your soul through.
Sorry, I didn't mean to play that part. I want to get to the point where he talks about the plan for the Al-Aqsa flood, which it's pretty early on here, I believe.
Thought to this place, and let's together memorialize the. And he asked them to share a sentiment of who they were and what the message would have been. And I am going to do that with you right now. Our synagogue shot and killed Lori Kay right in front of me as I was talking with her. And then he took aim to kill me. He shot my 2 fingers, but I survived. And I often wonder, why did I survive this mass shooting? Perhaps one of the reasons is that I could be here today to bring comfort and consolation to those that are in Sydney, Australia, who have just gone through a similar massacre and assassination and terror attack that occurred at our synagogue that they just endured here. Because I can actually say, I know what you are going through because I went through it. So I want to take this opportunity to memorialize the 15 martyrs, dignity, humanity, and moral strength, right, whose life was whisked away from them for no other reason other because they are Jewish and they came here to celebrate Hanukkah with the world. I know after the mass shooting at our temple on April 27, 2019, I was injured, but I survived. Mrs. Lori Lynn Gilbert Kay did not survive. She was a very dear friend. The last moments we had together were with smiles. And I came to realize that there's nothing that we could have done to what already happened. There's nothing we can do to what happened, but we can change how we react. And this is why I got on a plane as soon as Hanukkah was over in America. I got on the first flight, came here to Sydney, not only to be here with my youngest sister, who I love so much, with my brother-in-law, he rolled up his sleeves. He dived in to be my brother-in-law's assistant and associate rabbi. He grew in the, but we're not going to remain with the grief. Judaism teaches us we are only supposed to grieve for 7 days intense grieving, then 30 days Then we spend a year in prayer. But after 7 days, we are obligated to stand up and rejoin the living and look forward in life and begin reacting. We cannot change what happened, but we can change how we react.
I must have missed
We
it.
don't get paralyzed by the terror, by the darkness, by the evil that exists in the world. When we go through a tragedy such as this massacre, you look behind my ears, behind my shoulder, and you see the menorah standing there. That menorah represents 2,000 years. That flame has been attempted to be diminished and extinguished over the millennia, but it has never been successful. The flame of Judaism remain lit. It is because we have that very special commitment, dedication, devotion to our Father in heaven, God Almighty. The God who took us out of Egypt 3,337 years ago, brought us to Mount Sinai and gave us the 10 Commandments and mandated us to be a light unto the nations, to be a light unto the world. This is what Jews are about. This is what Judaism is about. And perhaps this is why they hate us so much, because we have a different mandate. It doesn't make us any better than any other human being. We are all created equally in God's eyes. We are all created equally. We are all, the day we were born, God said the world can no longer exist without us. We are all equal in God's eyes. But God gave everyone a specific mission. The mission he gave to the Israelites 3,337 years ago, after he took them out of 200 years of slavery, he says, I'm taking you out of slavery, but I'm giving you a mission. I want you to partner with me to be ambassadors of good and light. Be a light unto the nations. And God said from the onset, you're going to be the smallest number of all the nations. And we've always been the smallest number. People don't know. There are just 15 million Jewish people in the world today. 15 million. Compared to 2 billion Christians, 2 billion Muslims, etc. There are just 15 million Jews. We are the smallest. But we are on a mission. And we have our marching orders. And those marching orders are from God. Be a light unto the nations. Love life, give life, do whatever you can for humanity. God gave us the land of Israel. And God said it will be yours forever because you need that land. Because that land has been blessed by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as a gift from God so that you can be a true light unto the world. And the last 77 years, since we were able to come back home to Israel after the dark days of the Holocaust, where we lost 6 million of our 50 million at the time, a third of our nation were murdered and gassed and burnt and shot and killed and tortured. We came to Israel not as victims, but as pioneers. And look in the last 77 years what Israel has been able to accomplish. Israel has become from a deserted, desolate, neglected desert land to a thriving first world country that is truly providing humanity with gifts that no other country has done in 77 years. Look what Israel has gifted the world in all areas of humanity, beginning with agriculture, food recycling, food preparation, recycling, water filtration, desalination, communication technology, medicine, academics, arts, travel, defense, just anything in humanity. Israel's on the cutting edge. We push our limits to be able to make your lives better. Israel doesn't ask what the world can do for Israel, but what Israel can do for its world, for the world. And it continues to be a light unto the nations. Whenever there's anytime a natural catastrophe, Israel's from the first to jump on the plane and to arrive wherever the disasters, whether it's a tsunami, an earthquake, or a wildfire. Israel's from the first responders to set up triage and try to help with rescue efforts to do whatever it can, because that is who we are.
Maybe it was a different
Let the
video.
world recognize it. The Jewish people are a people of peace, of love. We love our God. We are devoted to our God. We'll continue on our mission. God will continue protecting us. These terrible massacres, these terrorist attacks, these darkness is only momentarily. It will not paralyze us. It will not shut us down. It will not extinguish the light. And What doesn't break us makes us. We get stronger and greater and better. And we're going to see better times because the world is going to wake up and realize that the Jewish people are good people and anti-Semitism has no place, not in Australia, not in America, not in Israel, nowhere in the world. That when you embrace Judaism, you're embracing God. And those who bless will be blessed. And together we can make this world a better place. God bless you. God bless you.
It must not be this video. It must have been another video. I really enjoy listening to him talk because as somebody who continually goes through tragedy, he has such a positive message. I mean, literally, he's been through a mass shooting himself where he lost a close friend who helped him establish his synagogue. He just lost his brother-in-law in this mass shooting on Bondi Beach, and he had friends and family who were lost in the Al-Aqsa flood on October 7th. He's the one who he said it must be in a different video where he said that the Al-Aqsa flood was supposed to be the entire annihilation of Israel. They were supposed to wipe out. I'll find that video. I'll play it tomorrow. You know what? That reminds me. I might have it actually in. Let me do one more search where I keep notes for videos. Let's see if I can find it. No. I have a lot of bookmarks here. It's going to take me a while to go through them. I think I'll just watch the last couple of videos that he put out because he talks about it, and he talks about it for a couple of minutes about the plan that was initially intended to take place on October 7th, but but certain things hadn't worked out, and Hamas got anxious and just decided to go in. I believe we're looking at the Great Tribulation here because this is seal number 4. So then when you see the abomination of desolation, which if you come over here and you look at Luke 21, before they saying, let's see, destruction of Israel. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is near. I believe this is a parallel to this. Then when you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Like, if you are aware of what happened during the Al-Aqsa flood, they hit multiple points. They hit people in the deserts. They hit people in their homes. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those who are on the housetops not go down to take anything out of their house. And let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes. There were those at a music festival. But woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. The atrocities that they did to pregnant women and babies is unspeakable. And pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world. Israel responded with massive force into Gaza. This could be the response for the Great Tribulation. I could be wrong about that. I know that we have a lot of assumptions about the Great Tribulation. Matter of fact, it's one of the key indicators that people are looking for how to identify we're in the end times. What if the Great Tribulation is Israel's response, Operation Iron Sword? Because that's the order of events here. So basically, you've got the Al-Aqsa flood. This could very well be Operation Iron Sword because seal number 4 is death followed by hell. Hell, it seems as though. So here, let me go here. So this is the Al-Aqsa flood. So the Al-Aqsa flood happened on October 7th, 2023. Israel responded with Operation Iron Sword on October 14th, 2023. This lines up with seal number 4. So you got seal 1, 2, 3, and 4. So death followed by hell. Could this be for then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, nor ever shall be, and unless those days were shortened, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. You know, with the the trajectory that the world was going prior to Donald Trump, I could see this being the case. Constant escalation of, anti-Semitism and conflicts around the world. But Donald Trump came in and he quelled 9 of those conflicts, including working on Hamas and Ukraine and Russia right now. So this is turning out not to happen the way that many people have guessed it would happen. That if anyone says to you, look, here is Christ, or there, do not believe it. There's a lot of people doing that right now. I see video after video of people getting dreams and prophecies that Christ is coming soon. For false prophets and false Christs will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive. I literally got tired of watching the channels of all the wonders and amazing miracles that people are putting together with numbers and stuff like that, with dreams and visions. I can't even bear to watch. I used to love watching those videos, but after the disappointment of seeing the stuff fall flat and have absolutely no meaning and that they're wrong, it's very hard to watch those. Therefore, anyway, the point being, for as lightning comes from this is seal number 5. So seal number 5 has got to be in here. So we could be looking at, this could be seal 5. This could be, the Great Tribulation could be seal 5, because seal 5 does talk about death. So this could be seal 4. So this could be seal 4. This could be seal 5, because seal 6 is right here. All right, so if seal 6 is right here, immediately after the tribulation of those, oh shit, seal number 5 is probably the Great Tribulation. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven. So Yeshua is either going to show up, he's either going to show up here or after here. But if this is, so immediately after the tribulation of those days, so either seal number 5 is a continuation of the tribulation, or it's the beginning of the tribulation. Well, crap. So, if this was the tribulation, so if the abomination of desolation is seal number 4, and for then there will be great tribulation, this could be seal number 5. I could totally see that being the case. The great tribulation could be seal number 5. And what do I mean by seal number 5? This is seal number 5. When he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? Then a white robe was given to each of them, and it was said to them that they should rest a little while longer until both the number of their fellow servants and their brethren who would be killed as they were was completed. Because then this is seal number 6. I looked when he opened the 6th seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth, and the moon as blood. The stars fell from heaven as a late fig drops its thing. Then the skies receded as a scroll as it rolled up, and every mountain was moved out of its place. That sounds a lot like immediately after the tribulation, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven will be shaken, and then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. Then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. I think we may have just gotten a major clue on seal number 5. What do you guys think? Why did the Israeli government made sure with stand downs and weapons taken the security? They were Israeli government prepared the slaughter. No other way to discover it, did they? Or was it part of the propaganda? Do we know for sure? Netanyahu has addressed that. Yeah, so it was on a holiday. They were on high alert, but there were things that had happened. I I always wondered what his sign would be. Fury has been documented by people on the ground, other witnesses of the tragedy. I don't know about all that, but in regards to this, it does seem to be that it was seal number 4. Regardless of who's responsible, it had to happen. It was written about here. God is not a liar. These things were written. These things had to take place. But we may actually be looking at the Great Tribulation. This could be, so right here, so this is what just got my attention. There will be great tribulation, such as never been. So I wonder if there's not going to be another Aloxa flood type of an attack, maybe on America. With 25 million illegal immigrants in America, they could be positioned for some kind of attack, and it might take place starting February 17th, 2026, and last for 6 months. Because look, it may actually be a global thing. It could be an attempt to take out Christians globally. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. That could be referring to 6 months. So the way it gets shortened is the earth rotates. So this could be the start of the Great Tribulation right there, because it does talk about, the impatience of the blood being avenged for those who stand for his name. Good Lord. I thought we were through the Great Tribulation. When I opened the fifth seal, let's see, how long, O Lord, holy and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth. Actually, that's not the part I'm wondering. And they cry, those who were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. See, that makes me think that they're going after Christians next, who had been slain for the word of God and for the testimony they held, which actually it'd be more than just Christians. It'd be anybody who stands up for Hashem, anybody who stands for God, anybody who's killed because of their testimony and stance for God. So, Jew and Gentile alike, Jew and Christian. Watch for the sign of man shows up before he comes. What do you think the sign is? And eclipse. Well, see, that's the thing. And so it says that he's the sign of man. So, and then all the tribes will mourn. So whatever the sign is, the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of earth will mourn. The only thing that I can imagine with my pea brain is something like this. Like, what else is going to get the attention of all the tribes? Elsewhere, it says that he arrives in the clouds. So you imagine, like in some of these scenes, it arrives in clouds like this. This is kind of what I imagine in my mind. Something arriving in clouds. Anything above the earth is considered heaven from a biblical perspective. So this is kind of what I imagine is literally an armada of ships that arrive around the earth. I laugh now. I mean, half of me is joking, but half of me is like, the more I think about it, is that's the only thing that would make these things true. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear. I mean, like, Jesus has been gone for 2,000 years. Why not build ships? Why not build an armada? Or, the angels who have been around for how many thousands of years may already have an armada of ships that, as the rightful king, he just took leadership of. I mean, he's been gone preparing a place for us, right? It stands to reason that he would come back for us and take us to the place that's been prepared for us. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. Then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with great power and glory. This would show great power and glory. If somebody shows up with an armada, it's not like we're going to take them out with nuclear bombs. I imagine that if you were able to traverse the vastness of space to get here, you've probably got some technology that we can't touch. I don't know. I mean, it's a stretch. It really is. It's a far stretch to think that like spaceships, but I honestly think it makes more sense than this one. The Monty Python showing up in the clouds like this. I think this is what people imagine from like a supernatural perspective, that Jesus is going to show up and it's just going to be like a giant in the clouds. That seems less realistic to me. This seems less of a sign. This seems more of a supernatural occurrence than the sign of the Son of Man. This seems more realistic, showing up in the clouds. And he will send his angels with a great trumpet, the great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds. So I guess this implies that that's when the rapture is going to take place. Actually, seems like the rapture would take place either during or after seal number 6. I would think that, so think about it this way. It says it'll be like the days of Noah. Well, Noah was given instructions to build a large boat in order to rescue God's creatures during a great flood. Does it make sense that he would send his son back with a ship of some kind to rescue the children whom he loves, to take them away right before the angels are allowed to harm the earth? Because seal number 6 is when the earth starts to get harmed. You know, if indeed the magnetic poles shift and the North Pole and the South Pole rotate down to the equator, that's going to cause, here's the Suspicious Observers has a simulation of what that looks like. Have you guys seen this? Oh, he's live right now.
Won't let you super chat from the phone. I've heard.
Look at this. Is this the disaster? That's his documentary. Where's his simulation? He's got a simulation here. I literally just had this on my screen a minute ago. Tsunami simulation right here.
Hey folks, we're going to be discussing the video from last night here. We're going region by region over the entire world and hitting all your concerns, including Genesis 9.
This is likely seal number 6.
11 and the promise. Gonna take a minute, so for those who missed it, might as well just roll the video from last night once again here.
And see, he's got this out to 2040. I don't think that we're gonna make it that long. I think it's gonna be 2026. See how the water moves? So this is simulating the magnetic pole shift and how the waters are going to change. You know, given this information, I wonder if this isn't, like, if we know, if this becomes more, if the knowledge of this really kind of gains popularity, or I mean the knowledge of this, seal number 5, seal number 6. I wonder if that's why the false prophets don't start going crazy, even more so than they are right now. If they don't start getting more dreams and visions of Jesus returning any day now. Because according to this, it seems like at minimum, he doesn't come until either the start or sometime after this starts. If we're right about this. This is based on an eclipse. It's based on a pattern. So given these first 4 seals, they all happened on eclipses. And they were global events. So that's the purpose of the horses. The rider on the white horse was the COVID pandemic. Rider on the red horse was the Biden administration and the vaccine. Rider on the black horse was the union between the United States and the United Kingdom. Inflation was the result of all of these things. And then the rider on the green horse, death followed by hell, was the Aloxa flood and Operation Iron Sword. So these all happened on eclipses. Well, it just so happens that there's a mirroring of eclipses that take place almost identical to the number of days to these ones. So the same count of days between each one of these things, if you go this way, going forward, there's a mirror. So that's how I've gotten this eclipse. This eclipse happens on February 17th, mirrors the eclipse that happened on June 10th, 2021. This eclipse that happens on August 12th mirrors, when the Electoral College declared Joe Biden the winner. And when he started giving the first vaccine. So, I mean, that's what these dates are based on. It wouldn't surprise me if you don't start seeing people having more dreams and visions claiming that Jesus is coming any day, saying that he's here, there, or yonder. That's what this says. Anyway, I think we spent enough time on this. I spent way longer than I wanted to. I still got, let's finish this out real quick, and then I got one more video that's about Apophis.
One we don't. In 1859...
Actually, we can skip this and go straight to Apophis. So this is from Ray's Astrophotography, talking about the asteroid. This has got a really good simulation of very likely why Apophis is wormwood.
So if it does have any slight adjustments to it, all our calculations will go wrong. So there is still, we need to have a close watch on this asteroid.
Apophis is maintaining trajectory towards the red zone, rerunning the simulation.
The entry parameters are unstable. We need density confirmation.
Get me the latest telemetry immediately.
So let me show you where we stand. Today is December 31st, 2025. And asteroid Apophis is on the other side of the sun. This is Apophis. Let me zoom in for you. This is sun and this is earth. Right now Apophis is moving this way and earth is going this way. So we should be able to see Apophis faintly, like as a small dot, like in 20 days. 2029, we can watch until that time. And then 2029, April 13th, it's going to come closer to us and then leave, right? So, but between that time period, it is actually circling. Let me show you how this orbit works, right? So I'll zoom in for you first, and also I'll make it pretty fast. So pay attention to Apophis, forget anything else. This one is making a circle. It is in between Mars and Jupiter. That's its orbit, right? It's not coming from somewhere else. It's right here in our solar system. Once in a while, it is going to go closer to Earth, like into the Earth's orbit, and other times it is going to stay behind or in front. Whenever it colludes into that orbit, whenever it converges into the Earth's orbit, that's when we get into trouble. And does that once in a while. And that's when we are noticing that this is getting quite dangerous, because it is the one that is coming closer and closer to, I'm just highlighting it for you, and I can zoom in. It moves, the Earth is moving, Apophis is moving. Once in a while, these things stay away from each other, which is fine. So right now, 26, 27, the Earth is in front of it, Apophis is in the back, there isn't anything going on. But by 29, it is going to catch up to us. Let me make it a little faster.
I'll give a summary. I'll narrate here when he gets closer to what's important to see. Basically, he's talking about the orbit of Apophis and how close it gets to the Earth in 2029. Like it's going to do a pass here before 2029. It's the one that does a pass in 2029 that is very likely wormwood. Although I will say that Chernobyl also means wormwood. I learned that I keep learning that. I keep seeing videos that talk about that, about the nuclear event that happened in Chernobyl, which is also associated with wormwood. I think wormwood is very likely, the rock that comes to heaven and hits the ocean is very likely Apophis.
And I'll slow it down for you.
Timing.
Pay attention to this one. December 27, 25. At this moment,
December 25, 2027. So the events we have in 2027 are seal number 7 potentially opening on August 2nd, 2027. That's the eclipse that matches this pattern right here. So that's the first pass of Apophis is in December of 2027. Oops.
moment, actually, Apophis is closer to Earth, but it is going to just leave and move on. Keep watching this. Yeah, see that? It is going to stay away in the orbit and let Earth go away. And it passes Earth's orbit and moves on. You see that the dance it is going to make, staying away from Earth and leaving. But when it comes back in 2029, it's staying pretty close to Earth. And yeah, so that's when I'm going back here, April 5th, 2029. It is right now, the distance is so small between Earth and Apophis.
So he's zooming in. This is April 5th, 2029. So that's where we're at here. You can see the date right there, April 5th, 2029. Oops. April 5th, 2029 right there.
You see that? Our James Webb is right here. Our moon is right here somewhere.
So here's Apophis right there. That's Earth.
Yeah, it's inside the moon's orbit, right? So it's not even as far as moon. So this is JWST, and I'm going to slow down for you because today is April 11th from the time period. I'll go slowly. Yeah, moon is right here. You see that? So this one is, Apophis is right here. And it approaches slowly, comes to us. I'm going to make it slower. See that?
So look how close it gets to Earth day by day. So this is April 13th, and it's
coming closer and closer. This is Apophis. This is moon's orbit. Okay, this is moon. Apophis is right here. It's inside the moon's orbit. It's inside our GPS. It's like...
So this circle right here is the moon. That's the orbit of the moon around the Earth. Apophis is going to come in closer to it's going to come in between the orbit of the moon and the Earth. That's what he's showing.
Something that is coming really close to us. And
I don't know if you're thinking about this, but both the moon and the Earth have gravity. So we don't know the impact that the Earth and the moon, it's very likely that the moon gravity could push that thing to the Earth and Earth's gravity could pull it towards it.
And I will slow down because today is April 13th. This is how much closer it is going to get. And it is going to leave from us.
I'm not the two witnesses, dude. I'm just a nobody who's pointing out things that are happening that God's doing based on facts and data.
From this point onwards, it goes further away.
What he's illustrating here is how close Apophis is going to get to the Earth. It's literally going to go through the section of the space where all of our satellites are. That's why he's showing it hitting satellites.
I do wanted to end with a positive note.
After that,
we may be able to deflect these asteroids by 2029.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's very likely wormwood. The rock that's thrown from heaven and hits the earth.
If they do become an imminent threat. If they are small.
Yeah, so let's go quickly read about seal number 7, and then we're probably going to bring this to an end. So seal number 7... move me over here so you can see. Where am I? Oh, that's Matthew. So seal number 7 is on this side. Just put me back over here. This one, seal number 7. When he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about a half hour. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. So we go through the trumpets. The first trumpet is vegetation is struck. The seas are struck. The waters are struck, the heavens are struck, the locust from the bottomless pit, the angel in Euphrates. So is it the waters? This one. Yep. So the third trumpet. So what we're looking at here with Apophis on April 13th, 2029 is likely the third trumpet. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on a third of the waters and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, which wormwood, Chernobyl also means wormwood. So this could mean that the third of the waters become radioactive, and many men died from the water because it was made bitter. This could be referring to radioactive waters. So where are we on the timeline? This timeline seems very much like it's right on track. I mean, I could be biased, but this is all factual information. Something I noticed about this that I wanted to point out. So seal number 6 opens on August 12th, 2026. And what we were reading in Matthew about then Jesus comes in the clouds. So I have from here the counts of the 2 witnesses and their 1,260 days. If you count 3.5 years from the start of the Al-Aqsa flood, which was October 7th, 2023, that would put the death of the 2 witnesses March 20th, 2027, which is not that long after the opening of seal number 6. So it's entirely possible that we may actually be here to go through the rotation of the earth. And I believe that God will put you where he needs you, so that whatever is intended for your life happens the way that it should. This is not very long after seal number 6. So this could very well be. And if you know, the death of the 2 witnesses is talked about in Revelation 11, where they're dead in the streets for 3.5 days. I just had another thought. If we go back over here, this is the last thing I promise. But this right here, if you follow this simulation, where does he show the United States? Oh, he's got I think he's got bookmarks. Nope. I could have swore I saw North America. Maybe he's just got them labeled in here. North America. There you go.
The simulation, 95% of you live here, and the initial inertial wave is the worst for this area, so this video is perfect for what nearly everyone watching this needs to see, and we've got it from both sides, which is...
All right, so it looks like, isn't Washington, D.C. right here? So is Washington, D.C. not covered by the flood?
Awesome. Central region and East Coast are having massive flooding, and as expected, it goes way up into Canada too. It's good to see the run-up elevation to the Rockies does an even better job than I thought of guiding the currents. I figured the east line of Colorado was going to be wet, and here it's not, but at the same time, also, more of Appalachia stays dry than is reasonable, which is a function of there being down to only 5-kilometer resolution.
I may have to go see if there's anything else I can start to count from for when Donald Trump and Elon Musk started working together. Because if you count from January 20th, 2025, they're not slain until July 3rd, 2028. I mean, I guess they could be around at long after. If the gathering together takes place between seal 6 and seal number 7, and he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds. So this would be the gathering together. I don't know. I mean, that could be seal 7. I mean, this could be the trumpets. But I'm inclined to think that it's between seal 6 and seal 7. And I don't know if it coincides with the two witnesses. I'm assuming because they're dead in the streets for 3.5 days and then they are called up to heaven. I assume that would be a good time, a good date for the candidate for a high watch time for a gathering together. What's listed right here for when he sends his angels with a great trumpet. But it could be, I mean, honestly, it could be August 12th, 2026. That's when I would like to see. I'd actually like to see it sooner, especially if there's going to be any kind of a great tribulation. If there's going to be any kind of a locks of flood like globally. I really wish I had that video segment prepped where Yisrael Goldstein talks about the plans that they had for October 7th. I'll find it. We'll play it tomorrow because I want you guys to see that they had planned to completely annihilate Israel and Jerusalem. That was the plan. Anyway, wow. So that's some pretty cool stuff. I mean, tonight was pretty amazing. Pretty good way to go out on the new year. I think we have a better idea of what to look for in seal number 5. I hate to say it. It doesn't sound good. I was hoping that this was the Great Tribulation and that was in the past and that we were on to better things. But I mean, seal number 5 does say to wait until your brethren and fellow servants are killed as they ought. This could be the Great Tribulation if if that's the order, of Matthew 24. What did I do? I started a video somewhere. Somehow that video got started. Yeah, I mean, the Great Tribulation does fit smack dab right between seal number 4 and seal number 6. It's entirely possible that seal number 5 is literally the Great Tribulation. And then that would make sense on why God would have had to shorten that. Because seal number 5, this is a very short period of time. So if you look here, it's 175 days. That's a very short period of time. So between seal number 2 and seal number 3 was a very short period of time. It was 178 days. So it would make sense that if this is some kind of a great tribulation, that had he not shortened it, no flesh would survive, especially if you combine it with the events from the earth rotating and then the events of seal number 7. I mean, like, we're talking about a lot of people on the earth passing away, a lot of people dying on the earth, to where, if this is really bad and enough people don't survive this, then they're not going to survive this and they're not going to survive this. So I can totally get why he would have to shorten this. That might be why this is short. So I'm just pointing out like where these things are lining up. This is not in any way my desire or vision or prophecy. This is just literally based on looking at the scripture. I mean, you guys see what I see, right? I mean, like when reading Matthew 24 and the way that Jesus listed out these orders, the order of these things, unless I'm completely off on the timeline and lining these things up, this is seal number 4. Very likely the abomination of desolation. Especially when you look at Luke 21, when Jerusalem is surrounded, know that its desolation is near. So, man, that's seal number 4. That would put seal number 5 right freaking there. Ugh, man, I thought this stuff was over. I'm looking for the rapture. I'm looking for being taken away from these things. I don't like bad news. I don't know. I guess to end this on a positive note, that's a terrible realization. The Great Tribulation might be seal number 5. I was hoping that, by the time we got through seal number 5, that for those who testified to the truth of the word, that we would be taken away from this. I don't know if that's the case. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't know if that's the case. I don't want to cause anxiety or fear or stress for anyone. The reason we know these things is so that we can believe, right? The reason that Jesus told us these things ahead of time is so that when they happen, you will believe. So that tells me that, well, and also you got to remember that there are those who are kept from the wrath. So, I mean, there's no promise that you're not going to be killed. The promise is that you will be kept from the wrath. So by all accounts, if there is some kind of harvest that takes place around seal number 6, the wrath seems to start at seal number 7. Seal number 6 is the Lamb's wrath. Seal number 7 is God's wrath. So I guess it would stand to reason that Christ showing up and the angels gathering the elect, maybe it's in the gathering of the elect that is part of the Great Tribulation too. I don't know, man. There's a lot to think about here. Let me just say this: the thing that we can focus on, so that we can go into the new year with some semblance of hope, is that your redemption is drawn nigh. That is already done. Christ has already died. He's already shed his blood to save you and me. We're just that was the down payment. His death, his sacrifice, and sending the Holy Spirit so that we could become members of his temple, members of the temple that he's building. That's the down payment. We've only got the down payment right now. The full redemption is coming. That's the exciting thing, and it could be as soon as 2026. So that's a positive note to go into 2026 with. And that's where I'm going to leave you, is look up. Your redemption draws nigh, and Jesus told us these things so that when they happen, you will believe. So there's no reason to stress or fear at all. God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.